Homeless young man living in a shed next to my backyard. Should I call the cops, ignore, or help? I would buy him a battery lantern and a pack of batteries so he doesn't accidentally set himself on fire with the candle. He knows the house is empty. Yet instead of breaking in where it would be much warmer, he chose to use the shed instead. He didn't yell or become threatening when you approached him. He seems harmless. I wouldn't go calling the cops at this time. We don't know his situation. If you feel comfortable, maybe strike up a conversation. Ask if he needs anything. My neighbor took a homeless dude in that had been living in the forest behind us. Now he has his own place and a job. Other neighbors let me use their outdoor washer and dryer and water when I became homeless and had to move onto my bare property. I developed it, sold, and bought my home. Life happens. In my case, I got sick and lost a lot. If he's not bothering anyone, I would just let it be. All calling the cops would do is make them kick him out and potentially give him a trespassing ticket. He sounds like he's peaceful, so I'd just let him do what he needs. In my city there's a group charity called Street Angels. They have a very good reputation among the homeless because they've built trust. They do give out food, but also clothing and toiletries, plus connecting people with other resources to get off the street and into housing, job. If there's anything like that in your area, contact them. Something other comments haven't realized is that in an enclosed area, shed, tent, even a single candle flame can make a considerable difference in the temperature. I've done that when camping. So yes, a solar charging light is a nice idea, but might take away heat he needs. If you want, leave a plastic bag of blankets, hat, socks. The plastic is important for him to store them dry. Consider ready-to-eat food that will last a while. Granola bars, jerky, maybe even hard candy, baby wipes. Until he's a problem, I'd leave him be. When the house is shown, sold, he'll have to figure something out anyway. I feel like you should do whatever you feel is right, as you have to live with either decision you make. If you choose to let him stay, then I think the candle may be a fire hazard and you may want to consider giving him a flashlight to use instead. Why wouldn't you be a good Samaritan if you could? Blankets, pillow, food, lantern would be incredibly helpful. I'd leave him be. Sounds like another guy just down on his luck. It seems like he came across pretty polite, so he probably won't be much of an issue. If you are worried about him with the upcoming winter storm, you can ask him what he needs in preparation for that. An act of compassion, yet a clear set of boundaries. A clean pack of socks, hand warmers packets, canned food, candles, tarp or such is what I imagine is appropriate. Stay safe, y'all. As long as he's not hurting anyone, I don't think you can possibly justify calling the police, who are just going to abuse and harass him. My grandmother said in the 30s and 40s, if a hungry person came to your door, she said customary to go to your back door. She said you fed them and it was understood, and what people did. Usually a plate of food, maybe a soup and bread. I understand the paranoia and concern, but if he's not doing any damage or causing alarm, I would let him be. As you expressed, sometimes people are down on their luck, fleeing hard times, or trying to get away from abuse. If you are able, I would see if there was a way you can help him or direct him to some local resources to help him. Many more of us than we care to admit are only a few missed paychecks from being unhoused. A little kindness in this world goes a long ways. I am heartened by the kindness in these answers. Red Hardop seems like a nice person. The world teaches us to be so cynical of each other. But in reality we have to live with our actions or lack of. And if it was as taking shelter in a shed, how wonderful it would be that someone cared enough just to give us some supplies. Well, the police will either take him to jail or to a tent city, which a lot of the time can be worse. Is what he's doing worth that punishment? If it were you, would you want someone to help? Talk to? Put yourself in this guy's shoes and you'll have your answer. When I was a kid I used to go sleep in my neighbor's shed when things got bad. It wasn't really a shed but a garbage hut for his bins, but it had a roof on it. When I had no choice I left for good at 15. Slept in the woods. Walked south. Walked and walked and walked. Never hurt anyone or stole anything other than water from people's hoses while they are asleep. Which is terrifying to do. If you are wondering about his mental state I can't tell you for certain. But in my case and all the kids I met along the way, every one of them, we were fiercely determined yet confused with no direction. Abandoned and alone yet content and happy. Because in our wilderness we were free. In fact, by me leaving I chose life. I chose a path of finding the good in this world even if it cost me everything. I left behind every single thing as well as all the bad this world contains. With every step toward nowhere I was moving in the right direction. So this kid is figuring out he is free. Show him kindness and teach him what this world is really about. That it's different than the one he left. You can't fix this. You can't solve it. It will take him 20 years at least to unwind his own thoughts. The people along the way that helped me the most were the ones who didn't ask questions and didn't tell stories. They helped in the simplest ways. Asked me to do a chore and paid me. Fed me. Drove me. Lifted my spirits. Didn't ask me to think or reflect. There is no therapy to face the reality that we are all alone. Everything is temporary and tomorrow is not a guarantee. He hopefully realizes the basics of being alone in your own head, that there is no point in worrying about something that happened in the past, and there is no point in worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. But if he hasn't, maybe remind him. Let him reflect on that for a few weeks. Maybe it will click in his head that today and this moment is all we have. So cherish them like they are your last, because one day it will be. This is the only guarantee life offers you. This kid has a long path ahead of him filled with the extremes. I pray he finds a few hugs, a few warm mugs, and an end to this chapter without it being the end of the book. Give him what he can carry and what he can leave behind. Warn him if police are onto him, because they will throw him in the system and all hope is lost. Good luck. I just mind my own business, if they are not on my property. If he is clean, lucid, and doesn't owe anybody anything, he's not going to give up his spot. If he tells just one person, there will be 30 people there and cops within the hour. And he's back wandering around. He's keeping the place clean because that's how he found out it was abandoned. Google local food kitchens. If they occur often, foods in low demand. Depending on the weather, dry socks and underwear are top shelf commodities. We have a squatter on our property. I'll explain how I handled it. First I went over and asked him why the F he was on my land, as I was a bit on edge and my dogs were ready to tear him up. But I decided to hear his life story. I found out his skills and now he lives on the land for free. But he helps with fencing and gardening. It's basically a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours scenario. He's an alcoholic, so we have some firm rules in place and he isn't allowed to just pop over. But he lives in a little camper and deals with his own water, food, etc. So I guess my suggestion is, if you're up for it, see what his skills are and maybe you can help each other out.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.